Hello again, welcome again. This is part two in a series of videos addressing Anthony Riley's challenge to all Earthers. He wants them to demonstrate that the moon is a solid object, particularly at a new moon. So this was Anthony's video. My part one dealt with these images that Anthony claims as evidence that the moon is not a solid object, or that the moon passes behind the sun and not in front of the sun at an eclipse. Now, the actual challenge that Anthony presents is that he wants, okay, here we go. So the only one objective is to prove the presence of the moon only. Okay, so he's wanting to prove that the moon is present. He says you're not expected to get earthshine. Well, earthshine is a particular beef of Anthony's. Is one way of demonstrating that the moon is there, or you can actually see the moon because you see the light reflected from the Earth onto the moon and back to the Earth again. I should just play this on and see if we can get it. Okay, he doesn't elaborate too much here. So it says that at new moon, help Soundly prove his Earthshine photos are real by proving the moon is even in the sky during new moon. Now, this is it's a deliberately dishonest tactic on Anthony's part. At new moon, we can see here in an image that he actually has on his video. At new moon, an observer on the Earth looking at the moon cannot see any evidence of the moon because all the light coming from the sun is hitting the far side of the moon. There is no light hitting the side that can be seen from the Earth. And also the sun will be in the sky close to the location of the moon. And therefore, any possibility of seeing light reflected from the Earth onto the dark surface of the moon here and back to the Earth is removed, because there is so much light coming from the sun that it completely overwhelms any picture that you might want to take of the moon alone. So Anthony deliberately tried to set up a challenge here, which he knows cannot be fulfilled. However, he is also ignoring a whole bunch of other evidence that shows that the moon is a solid object, and shows that the moon is located between the Earth and the sun. And I just want to cover, because I've only got a short amount of time, I just want to cover one example of evidence, and there are others that show where the moon is located relative to the sun. We know that the planet Venus is further away from Earth than the moon. And one of the ways that we know this is because Venus can be seen to pass behind the moon. And there are video examples of this occurring, and there are it's an observation that's been made many, many times by astronomers, both amateur and professional, over the centuries. So just playing this this short video, and it shows Venus being, the light from Venus being gradually blocked by the moon as the moon passes across our sky and gets between the light from Venus and the observer. And there it is, gone. And we can also see the light from Venus. Should credit Tony Prince for this video. We can also see the light from Venus reappearing on the other side of the moon. I'll get past the ads on this video. There we are. Okay, so I'll just back up a little bit. I watched this a little bit earlier. Right, so we have the crescent moon. This is in daylight, and Venus has passed behind the moon and reappears here. Past the dark side of the moon. So I think this is the same occultation taken by two different people from two different locations. One showing that Venus passing behind the moon, behind the lit crescent portion of the moon, and the other showing Venus appearing from behind the dark portion of the moon, confirming that the moon, the dark portion of the moon, is really there, and that can be seen by looking at Earthshine pictures as well, but also demonstrating that Venus is further away from the Earth than the moon is. And now we have some other videos that we can see which show, and this is videos, there are many of them, and this has been observed over many years by astronomers as well, and this is Venus passing between the Earth and the Sun. So Venus passing across the face of the Sun. So this dark spot here is Venus. It's not a sunspot, these are sunspots. And it passes gradually, slowly across the surface of the Sun. These are time-lapse images taken showing so the Sun moves across the sky, Venus gradually passing further and further across the surface of the Sun. So we know that Venus is between the Earth and the Sun, and we know that the Moon is between the Earth and Venus. So Anthony, if you want to claim that the Moon passes behind the Sun, you need to explain how these Venus occultations and transits are possible. And you also need to explain how the relative positions of the Moon, the Sun, and presumably Venus as well, and you could have done the same sort of thing for Mercury, how they change their relative positions in the, I'll say in space, you might say in the firmament or something else, how they change their relative positions so that the Moon passes behind the Sun at new moon or at eclipse, and yet at other times the Moon is clearly much closer to the Earth than the Sun is. So this is the end of part 2. I'll stop this hangout here because I have to have my lunch before I go back to doing some work. Hopefully Anthony will have the good grace to post a video actually responding to some of these points about his challenge. There will be a part 3 and maybe a part 4. I'm not sure when I'll get them done, but I'll try and do them quite quickly so that people don't have to wait too long for them. Okay, so cheerio for now.